सहस्राक्षं गणाधीशं स्वगुरुं च सरस्वतीं जनकं जनयित्रीं च शास्त्रादौ प्रणमाम्यहम्. I welcome you all to the fourth lecture in this series, that is the science of surgery in Ayurveda and its relevance in current time. Today's session will be mostly focusing on the concept of surgical simulation and whether this concept of simulation persisted in ancient surgical practice in the Dhanvantari Sampradaya. So today we will be looking upon certain excerpts of surgical simulation from the Sushruta Samhita. So today's session, our main objective would be dealing with knowing the concept of surgical simulation and its importance, understanding the concept of yogya, wherein the entire concept of surgical simulation is explained by Acharya Sushruta under this heading, that is the yogya. And with that, we'll be getting to know a detailed understanding of the Yogya Sutriya Adhyaya, which is there in the Sushruta Samhita, that focuses on surgical simulation, thereby drawing parallels between the modern surgical simulation and the Yogya Gnana that is present in the Sushruta Samhita Sutrasthana. So, under the concept of surgical simulation, a few terminologies which are important to be known are something like a simulator, with special reference to a surgical simulator, and the process of simulation. So just like we understand a scientific model in the same way, so we have simulator to be explained in crude words or crude simple meaning, that a simulator is nothing but that machinery or that equipment or that environment that helps us to imitate a situation. So the machine that helps us to imitate a particular situation is what is called as a simulator. So basically, simulator becomes the representative of certain situation or environment wherein it gives us the same feeling or the same experience as that of the that particular situation in the real time. Coming to surgical simulators, so now it is clear that surgical simulators are nothing but those machineries which help us to imitate a surgical procedure or a surgical environment wherein the trainees will gain access or will be practicing over this surgical simulator, which will help the surgical trainees to gain knowledge on how to perform the operative procedure, or they'll first get exposed to this entire process of surgery with the help of the simulators, and only then will they be practicing it on live patient. So surgical simulators are nothing but it is computer technology which is basically developed to simulate a surgical procedure for the purpose of pre-clinical training of medical professionals to avoid trial on actual patients. So this is in simple way how we can understand what is surgical simulator is. On the other hand, surgical simulation is nothing but a technique to replace or amplify real experiences and to replicate substantial aspects of real operative procedure. So nothing but just like how it is very unethical to practice a procedure without expertise on live patient, also there will be lack of confidence or lack of knowledge. The medical trainee will be unaware of the expected complications that would pop up during surgery and how to manage those complications, all the doubtful situations. So it could be very unclear to approach a live patient with a 50-50 knowledge, and that is why we have surgical simulators that will help medical professionals, especially in the surgical field, to gain expertise with the help of surgical simulators to perform it confidently and to avoid errors and complications. So this particular concept of surgical simulation is a very attractive field under surgery, wherein the entire concept helps to avoid use of patients for skill practice, which is very unethical, and also it ensures that there is some practice that has been gained and some confidence that has been gained before training on actual patients. Now knowing the modern definition of what a surgical simulator is or surgical simulation is, whether this entire concept was new to our ancient surgeons or to the Shalya Shastragnas, that is the ancient surgeons under the Dhanvantari Sampradaya, whether they knew all of this, whether Acharya Sushruta had given any importance on simulation, or what is the exact history of simulation is what we will be discussing in this session, which at the end of the session would be very amazing, that when we actually draw parallels between the ancient history of surgical simulation and the current objectives, it is then when we get to know that both of these run very closely. So in Sushruta Samhita, Acharya Sushruta explains the entire concept of surgical simulation under the Adhyaya, that is the Yogya Sutriyam Adhyayam in the Sutrasthana. So in the Sutrasthana, the shloka goes like this. Acharya says, कर्तव्य कर्मणः सम्यक् योगाय तत् सदृश कर्माभ्यासो योगः तेन योगाय प्रभवति इति योग्य प्रभवति इत्यर्थः तद्दितिः. Okay, the next टीका by Acharya Dalhana, योग्य सम्यक् कर्माभ्यासः योग्याय सूत्रम् अन्येतु योग्य ख्यापकसूत्रं योग्यसूत्रं तत् अधिकृत्य कृतो अध्यायः योग्यसूत्रीयं तं तथा. So this is the tika on why Acharya has named the chapter as Yogya Sutriyam Adhyayam, as what could be the meaning of Yogya. So here Acharya has opined that Yogya is nothing but Kartavya Karmanaha. So in the medical field, Kartavya or the karma of a doctor or a bhishak is nothing but performing the treatment on the patient. Like as we saw in the last session, Purusha is nothing but the Chikitsa Adhikruta Purusha, that is wherein the human body or the abode, the physical abode in which the treatment, various kinds of treatment could be successfully performed. So to a bishak or a doctor, his karma or the kartavya is nothing but the Chikitsa karma. Wherein for Shalya Shastragna, the karma is nothing but the pradhana karma is nothing but the Shalya karma, that is the surgical or the operative procedure. So Acharya here opines that kartavyah karmanah samyak yogaya tat sadrusha karma abhyaso. So here in the context of Shalya Shastra, for an operative procedure, samyak yogaya tat sadrusha karma abhyasa. So any karma abhyasa, here Acharya is stressing upon the word abhyasa, saying that this is something to be performed very many times to gain expertise. So he says the surgical trainee has to gain abhyasa, or he must practice in a situation which is equivalent to or which is similar to, that is why Acharya uses the word sadrusha, that which looks very similar to the actual karma or the kartavya, which is nothing but the operative procedure in the current context. That is called as yoga, and whichever is the chapter told by Acharya Sushruta to explain this particular concept of practicing in a similar situation that mimics the actual surgical procedure is called as the Yogya Sutriyam Adhyayam, is what Acharya opines to. So Yogya Samyak Karma Abhyasa. So this one line is enough to explain or define the concept of surgical simulation that prevailed in ancient India. So in the Adhyaya, Acharya Sushruta quotes or he opines that अधिगत सर्वशास्त्रार्थमपि शिष्यं योग्यां कारयेत् स्नेहादिषु छेद्यादिषु च कर्मपथम् उपदिशेत् सुबहुश्रुतोऽपि अकृतयोग्यः कर्मसु अयोग्यो भवति. So Acharya here says that adhigata sarvashastrarthamapi. So in this current context, whoever wishes to learn this shastra or the complete process or procedures or knowledge under the Shalya Shastra or the Dhanvantari Sampradaya, then he must perform Yogya, which is nothing but the Sadrusha Karma Abhyasa. That is, first he has to compulsorily get the knowledge of preclinical training, not just of the operative procedure. So in Ayurveda we have two forms, that is, we have the conservative treatment and also the surgical treatment, just like in the current medical treatment aspect. So which is the quoted by the word snehadishu. So all the conservative line of management that we do with the snehana, swedana, all the panchakarmadi procedures are told under the one word snehadishu. Whether it is snehana karma, that is the conservative line, where a practical approach is needed, either the conservative or the chedyadishu. We saw the 8 types of shastra karma Acharya has given in the first session, wherein he has given Ashtavida Shastra Karma, or 8 types of surgical procedure, wherein any surgical procedure we have to perform, it will get incorporated under these 8 classifications of surgical procedure, like Chedana, Bhedana, Vyadhana, Sivana, etc. So with the word Chedyadishu, Acharya here is referring to the surgical procedure or the shastra chikitsa. So for whether it is snehadi karma or the chedyadi karma, the shishya must first do the Sadrusha Karma Abhyasa and he must become Yogya. That is, the person who has gained a complete training by doing the preclinical training. Only then will he become a successful surgeon in future. So Acharya says that Su Bahushruto api Akrita Yogya. Though the student knows A to Z of the surgical text, if he has not undergone a preclinical training, or if he has not get himself exposed to a similar situation of a surgical procedure or the medical condition, then he becomes karmasu ayogyo bhavati, where here karma is nothing but the operative procedure. Ayogyo bhavati, he becomes unfit to perform that particular surgical procedure in the best possible manner. So this is the opening shloka of the Adhyaya, where he stresses upon the need for preclinical training or surgical simulation before letting out a shishya or a surgical trainer onto a live patient. So moving forward, Acharya again says that evamadishu medhavi yogya arheshu yathavidi द्रव्येषु योग्यां कुर्वाणो न प्रमुह्यति कर्मसु तस्मात् कौशल्यमन्विच्छन् शस्त्रक्षाराग्निकर्मसु यस्य यत्रेह साधर्म्यं तत्र योग्यां समाचरेत्. I would like to come back to these shloka, that is the 5th and 6th shloka of the Adhyaya, at the end of this session, so that we are able to understand the complete meaning of these shlokas at the after knowing the entire concept of surgical simulation in Ayurveda. So coming to the modern objectives of surgical simulation, so why surgical simulation or the entire branch of surgical simulation is been emerging out very popularly is because of the following reasons: that because of surgical simulation, the high cost of operative room space could be avoided. So it is very difficult to let out trainees practice in the operative setup itself, because that could lead to a high expenses. Limited operating room based training. So it could be done in a small room wherein a complete operative room or an operative setup is not needed. Repeated practice techniques. So while the trainee is gaining a preclinical training of a surgical procedure, he could do the same process how many ever times he wants to until he gains expertise. So there is repeated practice techniques that the trainer could get himself acquainted to. Also, surgical simulation helps in development of critical psychomotor skills, technical skills, and also judgment skills. So what are the technical errors or technical complications that could pop up while doing a surgery. For example, in the modern world, when many laparoscopic surgeries are being practiced, so for that there could be several technical issues that would come up where when we are unexposed to preclinical training. So while doing practice with surgical simulation, all of this is gained. And also surgical simulation also reduces operative times. So the initial practice has already been gained, the confidence is gained, so the operative time that is being taken on a live patient gets reduced, and also it lowers complications and it improves outcomes. Also that it is an opportunity to learn from one's error. An error if made on a surgical simulator, it is acceptable, but an error that could be done on a live patient, even though it is small, we never know, even a small complication could turn up fatal. Repeated practice in a setting that forgives failure. This is very important. Even though there is a failure in the concept of surgical simulation, there is an room or space for forgiveness, but if the same thing happens on a live patient, then it is at the cost of the life of the patient. And again, surgical simulation helps one to learn to manage complications. Now, in a surgical simulator, it is set up in such a way that it is designed in such a way that the trainer feels that he's operating exactly on a live tissue. There could be blood vessels, there could be hemorrhage, how to arrest the hemorrhage, how to perform an anastomosis. All of this could be learned in while doing the practice over a simulator, and that is how the trainer also learns to manage complications. So in this simulator or a surgical simulator, what we have seen now, there are two varieties, that is the low fidelity model and the high fidelity model. Now exactly what is this low fidelity or high fidelity surgical simulators is that low fidelity is something that allows to practice only individual skills and techniques. Like for example, we want to practice a certain kind of suturing. So there are many kinds of suturing techniques that are practiced over different kinds of tissues on the human body, whether it is the skin, whether it is harder structure, whether it is the blood vessel, whether it is the muscle, the fascia, abdominal organs, etc. So each of it needs a different kind of suturing technique. So in low fidelity model, only one particular individual skill or a technique could be practiced over and over again. And also that, but in low fidelity model, there is no scope to practice an entire operation. Like for example, if I have to practice appendicectomy, then in a low fidelity model that is not possible. Maybe if I have to learn a appendicectomy or a cholecystectomy, laparoscopic cholecystectomy, then I could be learning only the technique of how to place the loop correctly, how to ligate the artery correctly. That simple procedure could be practiced over and over again. So it helps us to practice one particular kind of skill but not the entire operation. It doesn't mimic the entire operation as a whole. And also that the low fidelity model, it allows quick repetitive simulation of a specific skill so that we are able to gain mastery over it, as we discussed now. Again, in a low fidelity model, it is better suited for novice practice surgical skill. Again, hand-eye coordination. Like for example, this hand-eye coordination is very important in laparoscopic techniques, where the camera is, the port, we have a port through which we have placed a camera inside the body cavity, like for example, the abdominal cavity, where the camera is connected to the screen that is in front of the operator, or the surgeon. So the surgeon, there is a very hand-eye coordination, that is he must be watching the screen to know where he is actually moving inside through the camera, and also that he must be handling the instrument through the small ports. So that is why hand-eye coordination becomes very important in laparoscopic techniques. So this is the low fidelity surgical simulator. On the other hand, we also have the high fidelity surgical simulator, wherein this simulator, it can replicate an entire surgery with high degree of realism. Like for example, we want to practice an appendicectomy, then that entire setup or along with the computerized software is such that the whatever is the simulator in front of us is so real. We feel that we are performing an actual appendicectomy. There could be bleeders, there could be certain arrival of complications in all of that, and also that these high fidelity models, they also give you feedbacks of how many complications popped up, what were the errors the trainee did. All of this will be given as a feedback, immediate feedback, so that the trainer could get exposed to the complete process, and he could be exposed to an environment wherein he'll understand where all the mistakes could be done, where all the complications could arise. So this is the major difference between the low fidelity and the high fidelity models. Coming to surgical models, so we also have something in the modern surgery what is called as the animal model and the cadaveric model. So as the name itself says, an animal model is such wherein once the animal is dead, certain surgical procedures are practiced over animals, because even in animals the skin, the muscles, all the layers are the same. So the feel of moving through the skin or suturing through the animal model to suturing just like a low fidelity or certain simulator is really different. An animal model makes you feel that it is more realistic. So animal models are also prevailed for surgical practice. Along with that, there is also another what's called as cadaveric model. Cadaver is nothing but a dead body. So when we have a dead body, so we know that when it is preserved properly and it is embalmed, for example, along with embalming is done with formalin, and we could perfuse certain colored agents through the blood vessels. So when we are you want to perform or learn a basic kind of surgical procedure, then the cadaver gives you the best feel of performing almost over a live patient. So within few hours all the tissues are still viable. So when it is practiced fresh or even on an embalmed cadaver, still the feel of understanding the surgical procedure still remains almost close of performing that on the human body. So this is with respect to the animal model and the cadaveric model. In the modern surgery, we also have something called as benchtop and laparoscopic simulators, wherein and they are also called as VR simulators, etc. So these are the benchtop, laparoscopic or box simulators are something which are called as low fidelity models. That is, they help us to perform only one kind of skill, like suturing or tying a knot or placing a ligation loop in laparoscopic surgery. So such things we could be doing it on a benchtop model, or a benchtop model could be as simple as that there is a small box with a stretch of something called like a animal skin or a leather or certain materials that replicate the texture of the skin. So small cut is made over that, and we could practice suturing of that over that, so it feels that as though we are practicing suturing skill over the skin itself, so it gives us the same feel. So these are what are called as the benchtop models. So in the advanced stages, we also have something called as VR simulators, wherein these are virtual simulators, and especially used in neuro surgeries or microvascular surgeries. So it gives real-time haptic feedback about the performance. As we said, it's a high fidelity model, and as soon as you perform the complete, suppose you perform a complete operation, then immediately it gives us a feedback on what were the errors or what was the percentage of skillfulness that was shown by the trainee. So these are the examples or the brief explanation of simulators that are in practice in the modern surgical field. So we, in the current times, there are researches or simulators like robot assisted laparoscopic surgery simulators. There is also patient specific VR simulator. The concept is coming up, wherein the simulator is designed specifically to that particular patient. Suppose where there's a very complicated surgery to be performed over a patient, so you can create a simulator that is a prototype of the patient himself, and you're practicing over that particular simulator, so it is very personalized and individualized. So all those concepts are coming up now. With this knowledge of simulation and simulatory models that are prevailing in the modern surgical simulation, now it could help us to gain good understanding of the Yogya Sutriya Adhyaya. If we go back now to Sushruta Samhita in understanding what are the concepts of Yogya, that is the simulation told by Acharya Sushruta. So with respect to Chedana Karma, that is the excision. So along with Ashtavida Shastra Karma, Acharya gives an example of materials on which these Shastra Karma could be practiced. So for Chedana Karma, Acharya says, Tatra Pushpa Phala Alabu Kalindaka Trapusaka Ervaruka Karkaruka Prabratishu Chedya Visheshan Darshayet Utkartana Apakartananicha Upadishet. So these vegetables that are told in this particular shloka for excision are like watermelon, pumpkin, muskmelon, cucumber, and bottle gourd. So all of these fruits, fruits and vegetables, if we look through, so we have something called as an outer skin, and we have a strong pulp inside. So all of these vegetables have a core pulp inside them with a covering outside. Again, if we look into the skin surface of all of this, the outer layer of all of this, the cucumber has a thin layer, watermelon has a little thick layer, the pumpkin has more thick, whereas the sweet pumpkin is even more thick, the muskmelon has a little rough surface. So Chetana is nothing but excision, that is taking out a piece of it, or piece of a body, or cutting a part of a body and separating it from the other part of the body is what is excision. So when the trainer practices this excisional procedure over these vegetables and fruits, then the various degree of texture of the outer layer of these vegetables and fruits, and also the pressure with which he has to move through the knife inside, excising through this outer layer and moving into the pulp of the fruit, the exact pressure how much he has to apply in cutting that part could give the trainer a better knowledge of how to handle with various structures inside the body, whether it is hard or whether it is very soft or whether it is very subtle tissues that the surgeon is handling inside the body. So this is with respect to the Chedya Karma. For Bhedya Karma, that is the incision, Acharya says, Dhruti Basti Prasevaka Prabhutishu Udaka Pankha Purneshu Bedhya Yogya. So Bhedana Karma, exactly, Acharya has stressed more on as a treatment in the context of abscess, where the fluid of an abscess has to be let out. That is what we called as incision and drainage in the modern surgery. So an incision has to be placed and drainage of the whatever is the debris or the pus that is inside has to be let out. So Acharya says if you have to practice this art of incision and drainage, then the same has to be practiced over Dhruti Basti Prasevaka. That is nothing but Basti Prasevaka is nothing but a skin bag or a leather bag that holds water, or he says they could use the bladder, the urinary bladder of a dead animal, and fill it with Udaka Pankha. Pankha is the watery mud. That is what we call as kesaru in Kannada. When there's a mixture of water and mud, that is what is called as pankha, or exactly where that kind of condition where the lotus grow, wherein there is also the presence of water and also there is presence of a little bit of solid kind of material because of the mixture of mud. So Acharya says these two things are to be filled with Udaka Purna Pankha, fill it with water along with pankha, that is the mud mixed with water, and perform the incision over this, so that in a ripe abscess we do not feel a lot of resistance, actually, because of which it is very important for us to make the incision correctly over the dependent part or where there is the pus point, so that the if whatever is the pus collected, we have a maximum scope of its drainage out of the incisional area. So when the trainee practices this Bhedana karma over these two, that is the Dhruti Basti Prasevaka and the Basti Dhruti Prasevaka and the Basti, that is filled with water, and the Pankha, then he gets the same feel of practicing it, just like what we do in cases of drainage, making drainage over an abscess. The next is Lekhana karma. Lekhana is nothing but scraping. So like for example, in treating a very non-healing ulcers, or when there is hard dead tissues, so the action of scraping is very important, and it is done as a part of many operative procedure, where we scrape out the unwanted tissues from the operative field or from wherever it is not needed in the human body. That is the Lekhana karma. So Acharya says this has to be practiced with Saromni Charmanyatate Lekhyasya. So you have to take a animal skin, the dead animal skin along with Roma, that is the hair. So now if we see certain like suppose if it's a dead rabbit, then the hair is very subtle. Suppose it is a dead sheep, then the hair is very thick. So Charmani atate. So you have to stretch this piece of skin, and then you have to perform the action of scraping over different varieties of these, so that you get the knowledge or the feel of performing this over various tissues over the body. So performing Lekhana karma, or the action of scraping, could be very easy over certain soft tissues. It could be difficult when there is a lot of dead tissues or hard tissues where we need to scrape it out of the body. So both the feeling is being gained by the trainer himself. And then he says Mruta Pashu Sirasu Utpalanaleshu cha Vedhyasya. So Vyadhana is opening out, Dvidha Karana, that is making a puncturing or making a hole. So that is the Vyadhana karma. So Acharya says, so usually it is done over the blood vessels, that is the venous system, where we puncture the vein, maybe to draw the blood or etc. In many procedures, the action of puncturing is done in the surgical field. So Acharya says this must be practiced over Mruta Pashu Sirasu Utpala Naleshu. That is it should be practiced over the dead vein or arteries of a Mruta Pashu, that is of an animal, or it has to be done on Utpala Nala, that is the stalk of the lotus, the tender stalk of lotus, which resembles the blood vessel, which is hollow, and when there is certain amount of watery content, so immediately when you do the Vyadhana karma, there is the ooze of the watery content from the punctured side. So this has to be, so this also ensures that the trainer, while doing Vyadhana karma, he is not going for a double puncture. So in the same way, in the tender stalk of lotus, if he moves too deep, then there is a chance of puncturing the opposite wall also, which is again a very important skill when we are doing puncturing over the blood vessels. The next is he says Eshana karma. Eshana is to probe, suppose when we are using various kind of scopes, like we saw in the previous sessions, we know what we could compare Eshana karma now to. So wherever we are blindly moving inside the body cavity with the help of an instrument, so in that places, it is very important to have a particular skill to not hurt the other healthy tissues. So Acharya says this has to be practiced in Gunopahata Kashta Venu Nala Nali Shushka Alhabhu Mukeshu Eshyasya. So Gunopahata Kashta is what? A wooden plank or a wooden piece that is being eaten by worms. So if we imagine, we all of us have seen such a wooden piece. So how it looks with a multiple hole over the surface of the same. So there are multiple holes, and these multiple holes, some of them are connected to each other. So like so two to three of them could be interconnected. One could be just a blind opening with a single opening over the surface, whereas on the other side there is no opening. Venunala is a bamboo bamboo stem basically, wherein it is hollow on both the sides. Shushka Alabhu Mukha. Alabhu is the bottle guard, and when it is shushka, that when the bottle guard becomes dry, so the bottle guard has something as a cylindrical neck. There is certain area of wherein few bottle guards are slightly dilated in the neck area. Again, they move down as a cylindrical portion, and then there is the pulp of the vegetable. So in such cases, when you perform the Eshana karma, that is probing through that, there is a different feeling. When we are performing probing through the Gunopahata Kashta, that is through the multiple holes over a wooden plank, so it could be such that we are trying to probe through a fistulous track with two openings with multiple tracks, fistula with multiple tracks which are interconnected. Suppose we are probing through the the tracks of or the abscesses through, like in case of hidradenitis suppurativa, wherein each of these are there is a small abscess. When you probe through it, then each of these are interconnected, the tracks are interconnected. Or it could be a blind end, it could be a sinus wherein the opening is just on one side and the other side it is closed. All of these we experience. So when the trainer is when the surgical trainee is moving through that, so suppose if it's a blind end, it's just a single opening, then he feels resistance from the opposite side. Suppose if it is not so, then he will carefully move through the track, and now he knows how to come out through the other opening to inspect if these openings are interconnected with each other or not. So in such a way, so in Venunala it is very easy. So in certain cases inside the human body cavity, it is easy to probe through when the structure is hollow. So all of these experiences could be gained through the surgical trainee when he is performing Eshana karma over all of this. Next is Aharana karma. Aharana is extraction. Now suppose we have something, we have excised some unwanted tissue during the process of an operation. So that unwanted tissue has to be taken out of the human body. So at times the surgical operative field, it could be easy for us to remove that foreign body out, or at times, suppose if it is a foreign body that is being lodged and we are trying to put it out of the human body, at certain times the foreign body could be lodged very strongly. There could be adhesions over the foreign body. It could be lodged in certain place in hard tissue wherein it is difficult for you to remove that foreign body. So to experience this, how the surgical, the trainee has to experience. So Acharya says this technique of extraction has to be performed over Panasa Bimbi Bilva Phalamajja Mruta Pashu Danteshu Aharyasya. So Panasa is nothing but jackfruit. Bimbi, what we call as the ivy gourd or the gentleman's toes, that is Tondekai in Kannada. So that is Bimbi Phala. Then we have Bilva Phala. Bilva is nothing but eagle malmelos. Bilva is very common, the favorite fruit of Lord Shiva. Then we have Bilva Phala Majja. Phala Majja is nothing but the pulp of that particular fruit. Mruta Pashu Danta, that is the tooth or the oral cavity of a Mruta Pashu, that is a dead animal. So with all of these, the Aharana karma must be practiced. So what is the concept? Now suppose if we take a jackfruit, suppose we are practicing extraction of the seed of all of this, then we know that in jackfruit the adhesions are more. It is not easy to remove the fruit or the seed of the fruit very easily. So there are many coverings over the fruit, over the actual jackfruit, inside the pulp of the jackfruit, wherein all of these have to be carefully removed, and only then could we extract the fruit out of the out of its abode. So there are a lot, it is a little difficult to remove it because there are a lot of hurdles or an obstacle or the adhesions we could call in a jackfruit. Now suppose if we take that of the Bimbi Phala, that is the ivy gourd. So here the seed is very, very, very small. Though the the fruit is not that rigid or the vegetable is not that rigid, to extract the seed of it, the seed is very small. So while extracting, if it is not held properly, there are all chances of spilling the seed back there, or a small foreign body, instead of picking it up, there are all chances of dropping the foreign body into some other body cavity. Coming to the Bilva Phala, again in the Bilva Phala, so there is a strong pulp within which deeply the seeds are placed. If it is cut exactly in the center, we could appreciate that. So while extracting the tooth in a dead animal's oral cavity. So the tooth, we know it is inside the socket, and it is even more strongly adhered to the socket. So when the technique of extraction is practiced over all of this, then the trainee gets apt knowledge on how to perform the action of the act of extraction in all situations, whether it is easily placed, whether the foreign body or whatever the dead tissue is strongly adhered, whether it needs a very skillful action, a very careful removal or end extraction. All of this the experiences gain. Next is Visravana. Visravana is nothing but drainage. So even in modern surgery, there are various modern drainage machineries that we use, which helps us to let out the fluid out of the body. So the post surgery, or even even without surgery, waste fluid is not allowed to get collected inside the body. So that is why pus is something that is always have to be drained out or let out of the body. So for this experience of how the drainage, Acharya says that has to be practiced over Madhu Chishta Upalipta Shalmali Phalake Visravyasya. So Shalmali is one variety of tree, and Madhu Chishta is nothing but bee wax. So when we apply this heated Madhu Chishta over the Shalmali bark, so basically the bark has certain projections, like it's not a thorn like exactly, but certain small projections like over its surface. So this bee wax exactly goes and it sits, so it smears the entire surface. So and usually this bark has a lot of watery content. It is good, it has a good store of fluid. So through the solidified bee wax, when we enter into the inside of the bark, so the fluid oozes out, which gives the surgical trainer the experience of drainage. So this is the reason of using the Madhu Chishta Upalipta Shalmali Phalaka. Next, Acharya says Sukshma Ghana Vastrantayoho Mrudu Charmantayoscha Sivyasya. So Sivana Karma is the process of suturing. So Acharya says this has to be practiced at the edges of the Sukshma and the Ghana Vastra. So Vastra is nothing but a cloth. Sukshma is that which is thin cloth. Ghana is a thick cloth. So when we are taking a bite through the edges, at the edges of the Sukshma Vastra, then at places where the skin is supple and it is easy to puncture the skin to take a bite of the suture, that gives the feel of Sukshma Vastra. Whereas the Ghana Vastra, where it is thick, suppose we are doing suturing over the palmar aspect or over the the foot aspect, that is the sole of the foot. So in such places, or the scalp, where the skin is modified to be very thick, so in such places when we have to perform the suturing technique, it is very difficult. So that feel is given by the Ghana Vastra. And Mrudu Charmanteshu, that is where with the help of a dead animal, the skin of the dead animal, where it is mrudu, that is where it is supple. So at the ends of the Mrudu Charma, the Sivana Karma has to be practiced. That is, the various techniques of suturing has to be practiced. So even when we move into the Ashtaveda Shastra Karma, maybe in further sessions, so the types of suturing technique is almost very similar to the classification of suturing techniques, even what that is practiced in the current times. Next is Pustamaya Purusha Anga Pratyanga Vishesheshu Bandhana Yogya. So Bandhana is the act of bandaging. So bandaging is a skill, it is an art of how bandaging has to be done over various parts of the body. Whether if it is a fracture, whether it is a wound, whether bandaging has to be done, not to be done, whether it is in a difficult place, like for example at maybe the axilla, whether the ankle joint, knee joint, how it has to be done at the region of the head, the neck. All of this requires precision and mastery. So it cannot be done or practiced over a patient who is already in pain, giving him more pain. So this has to be practiced over Pustamaya Purusha. Pustamaya Purusha is nothing but a doll, or a doll kind that has been man-made, with 2 limbs and 2 hands, a trunk and a head, wherein the basic structure of the human body is elicited and the art of bandaging is practiced over the Pustamaya Purusha. So various techniques, 14 types of bandaging techniques have been told. by Acharya Sushruta. So all these 14 types of bandaging technique are to be practiced first over the Pustamaya Purusha and then over the live patient. So in Ayurveda, we have a special practice of Anushastra Karma, that is the Kshara, Agni and the Jalauka, that is the Rakta Mokshana, Rakta Visravana Karma. All these three put together as what is called as Anushastra, that is the procedure which gives you an almost equivalent effect as that of the operative procedure, wherein it helps you to avoid it helps you to perform the same similar functions of that of the operative procedure. Like suppose it is nothing but thermal cautery, chemical cauterization and letting out of blood, that is the vitiated blood in the body. Like as we earlier discussed in the previous session, the Jalauka Karma, where in current times it is practiced as the biotherapy, especially in that in cases of non-healing ulcers, in cases to avoid graft failure after plastic surgery. So in gangrenous conditions, so wherever there is compensation of blood flow, so in all such places the biotherapy using leeches are being practiced even in the current medical times. So this has to be practiced over mrudushu mamsa khandeshu, that is in the mamsa khanda, that is the pieces of flesh of a dead animal. The dahana karma, that is thermal cautery or the chemical cautery, has to be practiced, is what Acharya says. So again in Ayurveda we have the practice of Snehadi Karma, as we told. There is a procedure of Basti which is a part of Panchakarma, wherein it is it is nothing but the practice of enema, medicated enema, wherein the catheter has to be pushed through the anal route or through the urethral route, and this needs precision and skillfulness to avoid complications or errors by creating a iatrogenic wound through the probing's area inside the human body. So it should not, which could give rise to strictures or it could give rise to fissures if not properly inserted. So that has to be practiced, Acharya says, in Udaka Purna Ghata Pashva Srotasya Alabu Mukadishu. Alabu Mukha, as we already know, even the Ashana Karma was practiced through that. So even Alabu has an elongated neck through which you're passing the catheter or such similar material becomes easy. And Udaka Purna Ghata, that is a ghata, that is a pot which is filled with water which has a side hole in it. So in such, through that surface, the insertion of the Basti Netra. Basti Netra is nothing but the nozzle, the Basti nozzle, that is inserted first through the anus or through the anus into the rectum, and then the medicated enema is pushed into. So this has to be practiced here. So again, moving back to the with these explanations of how preclinical training has to be taken with respect to the Ashtavida Shastra Karma. So Acharya has dealt with each and every single surgical technique and the best possible method of how to practice them preclinically in those times with precision and skillfulness. Moving back to the two shlokas which we left earlier. एवमादिषु मेधावी योग्य अर्हेषु यदा विधिः द्रव्येषु योग्याम कुर्वणो न प्रमुह्यति कर्मसु. That is, so whoever is the medhavi, that is the knowledge or the learned physician or the surgeon who wishes to perform the actual operative procedure without any fear, then he has to practice yogya vidhi, that is the sadrusha karma abhyasa, which is nothing but simulation over the dravya, which helps you to, or which is equivalent, or which helps you to gain the same feel of performing the operative procedure. Only then he will be a confident surgeon. That is, na pramuhyati karmasu. He will not be in a fearful situation, or he will not feel less confident in performing the karma, here the surgical procedure, that is the Shalya Chikitsa. Tasmat Kaushalya Manvichan Shastrakshāragni Karmasu. Kushalata is what? Skillfulness. So first comes the stage of practicing. While where there is repeated practice, we get the confidence in performing the same function. When there is confidence, the next stage is the skillful task. So that is what everything in our Shastras aims at. So whatever we are performing, no matter whether it is a simple household to whatever kind of karma with respect to that particular field, or the vritti, that is the profession, skillfulness is what is required. Whatever we do, we have to do it with utmost skillfulness and perfection. So for a surgeon, it is very, very important. So for a surgeon who wishes to gain this mastery and skillfulness, then he has to perform the Yogya Vidhi not just on the objects what acharyas have told, that is like Kalindaka, Trapusaka, etc., what he has given quoted as an example, not just on that. Acharya says, Yasya yatreha sadharmyam tatra yogyam samachare. That is, don't practice the Yogya Vidhi on those objects just on what I have quoted here. No matter where you feel a similar situation, no matter where you see a similar object, perform the surgical Ashtavidya Shastra Karma, that is the surgical practice over the such an object, and gain your confidence and skillfulness. Yatreha sadharmyam, it could be anything that could give you an equivalent experience or an exposure. You have to perform Yogya Karma there. In the same way, even today, initially in the to the internees, or when they are practicing the suturing, there the pulp of the orange is removed, and a small, through the cut opening of the orange, suturing is practiced. Suturing is practiced over the skin or the peel of the banana peel. It is practiced over cucumber. It is the skillfulness of retraction. You holding retractors. How do you retract without injuring the other tissues is another very important entity while performing any operative procedure. So that is done over the bitter gourd. And it is again the muskmelon is used to perform the act of excision. So like for example, when we are doing, for example, in a corn excision, elliptical incision is made over the actual area of the corn, and then it is slowly excised. So that is practiced over a muskmelon. And even the act of probing, again, like how Acharya has told Gunopahata Kashta, we have benchtop models which have multiple holes through which the probe is inserted, and it is practiced. So all of that is even practiced even in today's time, wherein a similar exposure and a similar experience is all that matters, and which is clearly seen, and it shows that the roots of surgical simulation is definitely from the Sushruta Samhita, wherein Acharya have clearly stressed upon preclinical training with similar objectives and with similar highlights of the modern surgical simulation. So there are many papers that have been published over the concept of surgical simulation, of the benefits out of the same. To read a few, one paper quotes as, so usually, the resident trainees, they feel stressed and technically unconfident, which is same as the previous shloka, that is, na pramuhyati karma. So if you do not want to feel stressed out, or if you do not want to feel unconfident, which is simply explained in one word, pramoha, in karma, that is the surgical procedure. Along with that, he says, the author says, in addition to the theoretical knowledge, expertise in surgery requires high degree of psychomotor skills, which can be achieved only through proficiency-based training with deliberate practice, which is nothing but the first shloka which we read, wherein Acharya says, it is not just the Shastra Gnana, but also the Yogya, that is a Sadrusha Karma Abhyasa, is very, very important. So Acharya Sushruta has given it in a very beautiful line, saying that Subahushuto api akrita yogya karmaso ayogyo bhavati, which is nothing but exactly the same lines of the author, wherein the author is trying to stress upon the preclinical training, which is very important to avoid confusions, to avoid the lack of confidence. So which is why, along with theoretical knowledge, preclinical training is very important too, or deliberate practice. So here the author uses the word deliberate practice, which is nothing but karma abhyasa. So Acharya has very beautifully, so that is why Sanskrit is one such language which incorporates lots and lots of meaning in one beautiful shabda or a word. It incorporates too much of depth of meaning under behind one word. So Acharya has not used a simple word Abhyasa. Abhyasa is nothing but something that is done over and over again, which is nothing but practice, deliberate practice, that is doing it again and again. So the same paper also says the translation of this theoretical knowledge to practical performance directly on live human patient is not always the ideal means. So because of social and psychological factors, and that is why it is not appropriate to leave a unexperienced student over, towards a live patient. The same thing again quoted by Acharya Sushruta, which is unethical, which is why Acharya has stressed upon the Yogya or the Sadrusha Karma Abhyasa. So the same author also says that is why we have preclinical suture training that has been very important in cases of maxillofacial surgery, and that it is to be practiced over foam, animal skin, waste meat, self-made suturing models, commercially available suturing models. All of these are explained by Acharya Sushruta, and in one line he says that it is not just with this yasya yatreha sadharmyam tatra yogyam samacharit. So wherever you feel an appropriate object, you perform your surgical training over that object. Again, another very famous journal, Annals of Surgery, wherein we have the following statement, that is, surgical training consists of developing cognitive, clinical and technical skills. Fewer mentoring opportunities have led us to the use of models, cadavers and animals to replicate surgical situations. The same again told by Acharya Sushruta. He has given us models like, for example, the fruits and vegetables. He has asked us to perform surgical skills over dead animals and cadavers, which is why we clearly can say that he had completely understood the importance of simulation, completely understood the importance of preclinical training. He was a complete surgeon with utmost practice of surgical ethics. He knew that how important could be the preclinical training to gain all of this, whether that is clinical, technical, developing cognitive skills. All of this is put again under one word, kushalata. Kushalata means wherever there is an action that is performed with kushalata, kaushalyata, then there could be no error that could be encountered in such a karma. So that is why Acharya has given the same meaning through the language of Sanskritam, which could even more give us a better ideology of what surgical simulation is, and that is why Acharya has even dedicated a complete chapter for surgical simulation, which shows that is the importance of preclinical training, that is the importance of surgical ethics, that is the importance of how simulation has to be practiced, or the Sadrusha Karma Abhyasa has to be practiced wherever it is possible, on whichever object it is possible, to gain mastery of the same. So, as a famous quote says, a successful surgeon should be a man who, when asked to name the 3 best surgeons in the world, would have difficulty in deciding on the other 2. So if we have to become one such surgeon, then it is very, very important for us to follow the footsteps of Acharya Sushruta, walking through the guidelines of what he has given to us, helping us to understand this human body better than what the Pratyaksha Sharira. So our Acharyas have helped us to understand the human body even more, even in a better way, not just restricting ourselves to the physical entity. So saying so, I would like to conclude today's session on the excerpts of surgical simulation in the Sushruta Samhita with the following prayer. Namami Dhanvantarim Adidevam Surasurairvandita Padapadmam Loke Jararubhaya Mrityunasham Dataramisham Vividaushadhinam Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you.